Hey guys, Prangell Gaming and welcome back to Talk the Wall. This is the third installment and today we're getting right into it. But first, if you haven't seen the last two installments which involve transfers and talking about the club in more depth, then why not check them out, as there is going to be a link in the description of this video involving the last Talk the Wall video. Now, you could also access this by clicking the I button. This will have a link to the playlist for you guys. So getting right into this video, today I'll be talking about how I think the league will go for the Lions next season and who will be where in the league table. Not only that, but I'll be talking about the friendlies that Millwall have played in recently, which is Nottingham Forest and Bromley, due to me recording this on a Monday. And I'll also be answering your questions like, who do I think will be the top goal scorer for Millwall and in the league this season? And would I like to see Aidan O'Brien as Steve Morrison's replacement, or would I prefer us to sign a new striker? While I'll also be showing you off the teams that some of you guys have submitted and also be talking about your responses. And if you do have any more questions or opinions, as I said before, do feel free to put them in the comment section of this video. As I said in the last one, I do want a Millwall voice throughout. And just as a side note, with a bit of luck, this video will be shorter than the last one because I do know it was a long one. The best place to start here is with your questions and opinions. And Elite Sheet asked, who do you think will be the top goal scorer in both League One and for Millwall? Now, this is a question that is a lot harder when you look at the league, as I will say a couple of names between probably about 5, and then I want you guys to put in the comments section of this video who you would actually pick, or maybe even put your own ones there. So before I say any names, 3 of the top 5 goal scorers from last season are no longer in the league with us anymore. The first one is Will Grigg. He is on fire and in the Championship. Sam Winnall is also in the Championship with Barnsley, who look a very strong team going into the Championship campaign next season after signing George Monker and Tom Bradshaw. Both were players I would have loved to have seen in a Millwall shirt. And finally, Adam Armstrong, the guy who lobbed 40 last season, has left Coventry and returned to his parent club Newcastle, where I predict he'll score a lot of goals for them and be very important in the Championship. So enough about who is no longer with us, and let's look forward. The first name would be Nicky Iose. The ex-Swindon man was fantastic last season and has done well in pre-season for Charlton so far. Now, I think he'll be just as good this season, and personally I'd say he'll be the top goal scorer. The second player is Nicky Maynard. Call me crazy, but he did score 7 goals for a team that finished 23rd in the Championship last season, and League One is an easier league, so I think he'll be a great player, but probably not the top goal scorer. Now, the third name is Paddy Madden, and he currently plays for Scunthorpe, where he scored 20 league goals last season. He was one of the main reasons why Scunthorpe actually got a late challenge for the playoff space. The fourth name is going to have to be James Hansen. I do really like him, but he isn't really getting younger anytime soon. And once upon a time, Millwall wanted him, and he did have a great season. Probably not as well as he actually did want himself, but he'll definitely get within the top 10 goal scorers in League One, and he would definitely improve upon his 11 league goals he scored last season. Now, the final name is Lee Gregory. I couldn't leave him out here, so I do believe that he had a great season last season, and he can score 30 or more goals in this one, because I don't know if you guys know, but Lee Gregory played through an injury through a large majority of the end of last season because he was the best player that we had, and Harris told him we really needed him. It did all get too much for him, as he had to get rested and treated for it because he couldn't play for it anymore. So that being said, I really do feel that Gregory will be a lot better next season. Top scorer though, well, we'll have to find out, but he will definitely be Millwall's top goal scorer, and second to him I will say Aidan O'Brien. It will actually be a huge season for the Irishman, and I'll talk about that more later on in this video. Now, before I answer any more questions, I'm going to show you the team that was submitted by Zenon, and this is his team. So in goal we're going to go with Jordan Archer. The left back was then Joe Martin. The 2 centre backs are Hutchinson and Webster. The right back is Romeo. The left midfielder is Ferguson. The 2 centre midfielders are Abdu and Thompson. The right midfielder would be David Worrell or maybe even Fred. Then the 2 strikers would be the captain Steve Morrison and Lee Gregory. Now, this team is a very likely team. However, as much as I know Millwall fans may not want it, Tony Craig is the captain. It is looking likely that he will remain as it. And I think that it is kind of great for us actually having Craig, as he can play left back and he can play centre back. So having that versatility really is useful. But most of you have vouched for Morrow so far to be captain. And another thing I thought was quite interesting is that when we played Bromley, I believe Fred played as a left midfielder. So that could be something to look forward to for the upcoming season. But overall, this is the team that I would probably expect Harris to be using depending on the form of his players. Zenon did leave with some questions and also voiced his opinion on some of the topics I went over in the last Talk the Wall. The first question was, what youth players are you most looking forward to breaking into the first team this year? And he did leave a list of players. It was Cheeseman, Malubu, Twazuk, Philpott, Pavey and King. Now personally, I'm going to have to say I'm looking forward to seeing Jamie Philpott and Alfie Pavey getting more involved in the team. I think they have a lot of chances and they're going to get more game time for the Lions. But I also believe we'll see more of Cheeseman and Twaddock. Cheeseman can play left back and I believe that Twaddock can play both left mid and left back. But in terms of Malubu, I don't really know too much about him and I'd have to see more of him play. And as for King, well, Archer has the #1 spot at the moment. I do believe Harris would favour Ford over King. Now, talking of Ford, he also asked, do I think we should get rid of Ford? Now, personally, I'm going to have to say no to this because I think that Ford may not be the keeper that he used to be because he was a flying crazy goalkeeper, but he does have bags of experience and he could even be a coach at Millwall at one point. And I think this because I've heard Jordan Archer talking about how much Fordy has helped him get where he is, and he's one of the main reasons why I do think that Ford is going to stick around. So what younger players are you guys looking forward to seeing play more for Millwall this season? Why not let me know if there's any more players? I do know there's a couple more youngsters like Prangell. If you do think any of those could get into the team, why not let us know in this comment section on this video. Zenon also voiced his opinion by saying he did not agree with Joe Holloway's team because he, like me, thought that one of our centre midfielders had to be on the bench. He also talked about the transfers, saying, I think that we should sell Craig and sign another centre back, get another left back, another centre midfielder and another striker. He also added that he thinks Ben Thompson would be a great future captain, which was again something I talked about in the last time. Now the final thing that he said was about the kits, and I found this quite interesting actually. He said there were many more good away designs and that one really is awful. Last season's was nice but we barely used it and went with a third kit, which is actually true. So maybe Millwall will come out with a third kit to avoid the disaster of that kit. I quite liked last season's white shirt with the stripe. Maybe that could be the third kit. However, the chances of getting a third kit could be unlikely because a fan designed that kit and they have to honour the fan who actually designed it. Talking of the away kit, Joe Holloway voiced his opinion on that and a few other sections from the last Talk the Wall. Now the first thing he said was, one word for the away kit, bleach. Now I'll have to say no comment to that one, but he did also stress that we had a need to get a striker and a midfielder to get a strong team to tackle the super beasts of the Championship and the Premier League, which is something I couldn't agree more with, to be honest. And he finally said in regards to Harry Smith, a 6'6" striker, all I can picture is Meyerhofer. Well, I've got to say, please can he not play like that because Meyerhofer was terrible. But you never know. I don't really know what's happening with Harry Smith at the moment. He might be coming to Millwall on a trial, he might not be, but at the moment that's all I know. The last person to ask me a question was Tom Astel. Now I do apologise if I said your name wrong there, but he did ask this question. Would you like to see Aidan O'Brien as Steve Morrison's replacement, or would you like to sign a new striker? Now before I say what I actually thought about this, he said, I think Aidan can do it, just not right now. Maybe sign a striker from the non-league, just like we did with Lee Gregory, to give him a bit of competition. But when I saw Gregory in the first half of the season, I thought he's a great player, but he did have a dip in form towards the end of the season, which is why I think we need a backup striker to cover him, if he obviously has another dip in form. So what do I make of this? Well, I believe that we do need to sign another striker. I think that is completely accurate there, but I think that O'Brien should be more of the priority as he is the youth of the team, and he had a lot to offer last season. He has skills and sometimes comes across a little bit too cocky with those skills for my liking, but when he plays, he's a very hard player to stop, and I think have O'Brien and Gregory as a striker partnership. So what do you guys think? Should we sign a striker or should we just use Aidan O'Brien? Why don't you comment below and let us know what you think. Now before I do any predictions of who I think will be finishing where, I have to take this time to talk about the last two friendlies that Millwall played in, which was against Nottingham Forest and Bromley. Now again, a little side note, by the time this Talk the Wall goes out, we would have played at least one more friendly, and I will cover any other friendlies in the next Talk the Wall. So the first game, or first friendly should I say, that we played was behind closed doors against Nottingham Forest in our training camp in Portugal. We lost that game 2-1 unfortunately, but it isn't a bad result as Jamie Philpott scored and David Worrell got the assist with that one. Now the positives, Philpott scored a goal, and obviously he's a youngster. You want to get as many goals as you can get in pre-season, and he could be a very important player for us next season. And obviously Worrell getting an assist in his first match for Millwall in the pre-season. Obviously it is sad to lose to Nottingham Forest, but they are a championship side, so those positives are better than any negative we can have got. Now the other friendly was against Bromley, and it did end 2-1 to the Lions as Fred scored a header which was assisted by David Worrell as David Worrell obviously took the free kick. Now, Worrell seems to be having a great pre-season. Hopefully, he does continue that form throughout the season for the Lions, as if so, he will be a very, very important player. Now, the other goal came for Lee Gregory as it was squared to him by Ben Thompson. However, Millwall did concede, as 40 being 40 conceded a mix-up with Sid Nelson, which obviously led to Toby Silva putting the ball into the back of the net and at the time getting the equalising goal. Right, so where do I think each side will finish? Well, I'll start with first and second. So I believe that MK Dons will finish first, as they do have a great team with experienced heads in the right area. And I do think Carl Robinson is a great manager. So I believe that it'll be there for the taking for the Dons. If they want it, they will go straight back up. Now, second, I'm going to have to go with Sheffield United here. I do feel that it's going to be a really good season for them, and they've been unlucky in the last couple of years, and they will finally return to the Championship, and they have been down in League One for, well, this will be the 4th year consecutively that they've been down in League One. So, as I said, I think they've been unlucky, and under the management of Chris Wilder, I think they'll be a force, and they should go finally up to the Championship. I'll now be covering the 3rd to 6th, or at least the predictions of who I think will be finishing where. Now, these are the sides that obviously finished in the playoffs, and so in the 3rd position, I would actually put Millwall. I think that we are a good team, but I've never seen Millwall go up in the automatics, and since I've actually supported them, obviously, but I think that that's going to continue. I really don't think that we're going to get automatic promotion, or if we do, it might be very, very hard for us. Now, who do I think will be finishing 4th? Well, I'm going to have to say Bolton, as they've really added to a strong squad that they've got there, signing Jamie Proctor, Chris Taylor, and obviously Mark Beavers, all players that are really great. Now, I would say that the next team to finish, which would be Coventry, they're going to be 5th in the league table, or at least that's where I think they're going to be, as they have a good team. It's quite youthful, but they do have experienced heads that will level the squad out. Now, finally, the team that I think will be finishing off the playoffs and finishing 6th is going to be Charlton. I do believe that one player can change a team, and Nicky Ayose is that one player for Charlton. Now, the Charlton team isn't actually too bad once you remove some of the money-grabbing players like Millwall had a few seasons back, and they could have a very good season. They could even get automatics if they play well. Moving on to the teams who I believe will finish closest to the playoffs. The first team and the team that I believe will be finishing 7th in the league table is Bradford City. They have a great team, and after making some great signings, for example, the £1, yes, you heard me right, the £1 signing of Colin Doyle. I've never known a player to go for a pound, especially a good goalkeeper, that is. But he is a very, very good goalkeeper, a bargain if you must. Now, there is an issue with the Bradford team, and this is why I don't think they're going to finish in the playoffs. It's that they only actually own 2 strikers in James Hansen and Billy Clark. However, that being said, the signing of Jordi Hawala from Huddersfield on loan will actually be really pleasing for Bantams, or at least the fans, because he's a great signing. The team that I think will finish 8th in the league table is Gillingham. They ran out of steam last season, and I predict it's going to happen again. They have a squad that can clearly challenge for promotion, but I'm not 100% sure they have the confidence levels in that team, following last season's drop from clear promotion battlers to actually falling out of the playoffs. Southend are the team that I will think will actually finish 9th in the league table. I believe that they have the potential there. However, it does all depend on how well Mark Oxley does for the team, as he is their new goalkeeper after Daniel Bentley went to Brentford. Daniel Bentley was an amazing goalkeeper, let me just add, and Brentford have made an amazing signing there. But Oxley did keep 19 clean sheets last season for Hibs, so he might actually be what the Shrimpers need. Now, I predict finally that Scunthorpe will finish 10th. I believe that Paddy Madden will fire them to a decent position. However, they could even finish higher following the signing of Juande Holmes, who is a great signing. Now, Scunthorpe's squad is quite good, and they had a phase where they actually challenged for the playoffs, and it didn't quite work out, so I think they're going to continue in that form. They may even finish a lot higher than 10th, but that's just an obvious guess. So that was the teams that I predicted to finish just outside the playoffs, but what about the teams that finished from 11th to 14th, or at least in my predictions in the league table? Now, we're going to begin with a newly promoted side that got promoted at Wembley. Yes, I do truly believe AFC Wimbledon have the chance to be the best newly promoted side, as I believe that they've added in the areas they've needed to, and most importantly, they've kept hold of Lyle Taylor. He was a huge reason why they actually got promoted, and I think that he'll definitely help them out next season. I would have really, really liked him to have played for Millwall. Now, the team that I predict to finish actually mid-table would be Chesterfield, as I feel that they have had a bad season, obviously, in the last season, and I think they'll be doing a lot better this time round. I feel they have a good team, and with the addition of Ched Evans, it could be an even better team. He deserves the chance to play back in football. After all, he's already been paying for his mistake, and he'll pay for it on the pitch for the amount of people that are going to jibe him for the entire time he plays. And if he is a good footballer, then good luck to him. And the next team is probably a team that you guys would have expected predicted to have been a lot higher in the league table, and that is Warsaw. Now, the reason I predict them to be 13th is because they've lost far too many of their key players. Really, I'm being very nice to them by putting them this high in the league table, as they've lost Tom Bradshaw, Sam Mantum, Jason Dimitriou, Milan Laukovic and Romain Sawyers, and they haven't really got anyone to write home about. Now, the next team is going to be Oxford United. I predicted them to finish 14th in the league table, and even though they have lost Kemar Roof and Callum O'Dowda, they do still have a good team, and it is time for those players to prove that Kemar Roof and Callum O'Dowda didn't really run the show, and they are even better without them. As we get closer and closer to the relegation zone, I have to tell you my predictions for a couple of teams that I believe will be in the clear. The first being Bristol Rovers. I believe that they will finish 15th in the league table. They have a squad with lots of depth and experience in it, so I believe that they could surprise a few people. Next up is the team that I think will finish 16th, and that is Shrewsbury. They could have a very good season, maybe even get in the top 12 in the league, but they have to prove that they can do it, and they have made great signings in AJ Leck-Smith. So maybe it is their time to have a good season. They could be a bit more assured of their survival, at least if they finish where they are predicted to finish by me. Now, the next team would be Swindon, and I think they're going to finish 17th in the league table, as they have a lack of firepower of the losing Nicky Iose, as they have Jonathan Obika up front, but he has rarely produced, so I don't really know whether they're going to actually do anything next season in League One. The team that I think will finish 18th in the league table is Peterborough, as I think their squad lacks a lot of striking quality, as they do actually have 9 strikers. I'm not kidding you here. That is too many strikers. Now, while some people might see it positive to have that many, none of them are really actually proven goal-scoring players. Now, there are 2 more teams that could survive the drop, in my opinion. And the first one that I'll be predicting is Rochdale. I think they'll finish 19th in the league table, will just survive, as the more experienced heads will help them through it. Now, the other team that I think will survive is Northampton. I think they will just finish in the 20th spot, a spot above the drop zone, as they have lost their manager to Sheffield United, obviously Chris Wilder, and I think they'll have just enough quality to remain in League One for at least one more season. Now, for the final 4 teams, the teams that I actually think will be getting relegated here are, so the first one would obviously be the team that finished 21st, and I think that's going to be Oldham Athletic. I think that they will finish just in the drop zone because they've lost far too many of their important players, and they just lack overall quality in many areas after losing their captain, Liam Kelly, their main strikers, and their goalkeeper. The team that I think will finish one position below them is Port Vale. I think that they can finish 22nd, as they have signed too many players, and I think it'll take them too long to actually gel together. Plus, losing AJ Leck-Smith is a big loss for them. The team that I think will be finishing 23rd, one off the bottom position, is Bury. Now, they have signed some good players, but I'm not too sure whether they really will have an effect. I think that Leon Clark may do really well, but if he does, I do think he will leave with the possibility of bigger clubs looking at him. That being said, it could go the other way for Bury, as they do have some good players and they could have a fantastic season, but the league has improved a lot, and I just think the team will be finishing really low in the league. And now the team that I think will actually finish right at the bottom of the league is Fleetwood in the 24th position. They do have some good players, but signing 3 keepers kind of raises issues, and the squad does not have the overall quality that they need, and some of the quality players that they do have could be tempted to jump ship if it doesn't go too well. So that is all I've got time for today. Do feel free to put questions and opinions in the comments section for the next Talk the Wall. Next week I'll be covering my predictions for the key player and young key player for each League One team. However, if that does get too long, I'll only be covering 12 teams. In the next week after that, I'll be covering the rest. So, like, comment, subscribe, and of course I'll see you guys in the next Talk the Wall, which should be next week. Goodbye.